Hey guys, so before we get into this video, I'm really going to quickly talk about the sponsor. Thank you so much BetterHelp for sponsoring this video. If there's something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals, BetterHelp will assess your needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist. You can start communicating within 24 hours. It's not a crisis line, it's not self-help, it's professional therapy done securely online. There's a broad range of expertise in BetterHelp's 14,000 plus counselor network, which may not be available locally in many areas. The service is available for clients worldwide. You can log into your account and send a message to your counselor anytime. You'll get timely and thoughtful responses, plus you can schedule a video or phone session anytime, so you'll never have to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room as with traditional therapy. BetterHelp is committed to facilitating great therapeutic matches, and they make it easy and free to change counselors anytime. It's more affordable than traditional offline counseling, plus financial aid is available. Go to betterhelp.com/Isabel to get 10% off your first month. That's betterhelp.com/Isabel. Let's get on with the video. So cold this morning that we had to start a fire. It's August 22nd.
Fire started right up.
Yeah.
So dry.
Dry wood. So cold though, genuinely. Like as cold as it is in the winter mornings.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Well, maybe we're just not used to the cold.
Yeah. Oh, my eyeballs are like frying.
Your eyes are hot? So this morning I drove up the mountains a little bit to this little trail that goes along the river. Up here the air is so much colder. I can really feel fall is coming, which is both the most exciting thing but also slightly terrifying. Oh, but it's beautiful this morning. So recently I've been getting a lot of questions, and so I'm just going to answer all of them in this video. I got a question, are you prepared for winter this year? I think so. I'm trying to get as prepared as possible. Definitely more than last year, just because I know more of what I'll need and the things I'll need to do this year versus last year. I just had no idea. Plus last year, I don't really think I've ever talked about this, but I was struggling quite a bit. Before I moved up here to the mountains, I saved up all the money for the tiny house. So I was just working a service job in the city. I was working at like a cafe, you know, and basically just saving all my tips. And that's how I saved the money for the tiny house. But then what ended up happening is kind of at the end of the tiny house build, I ran out of money. I was working at a grocery store at the time while I was building the house, and all that money was also going towards the house as well. By the time that winter came, I barely finished the house and had no money at all. So I think that was like really my biggest struggle, just financially going into winter with no money. It was honestly really scary because what happened was my car broke down and then I didn't have the financial means to really fix it, but that was how I was getting to work, so I couldn't really get to work. And yeah, it was just a really stressful time in my life. I'm very surprised that I still maintained making videos because everything else was kind of going wrong. So really this year I do feel more prepared because I've saved some money and I feel more comfortable definitely, and I have enough wood for the winter to heat the house. So I definitely feel better about this winter going forward. Yeah, so I'm excited to see the snow. So somebody asked if I went back to university what I'd like to study. I did quit university because I didn't want to go into debt over studying something I wasn't that passionate about. But at the time I didn't quit forever. I knew in the back of my mind, once I figured out what I wanted to learn and study, that I would go back. I probably won't actually ever go back to traditional university, but I'm considering this year enrolling in a trade school. There's a school out here where you can get your certificate in welding, so I might go to welding school this year. Another question is, will you and Hannah meet up again soon? The answer to that is, it might be happening sooner than you think. This is a really good one that I really want to talk about. Have you heard of permaculture? Are you planning on doing something similar in your property? The answer to that is definitely yes. I'm really interested in permaculture. I'm really interested in bringing biodiversity back into the farm. Right now it is just like 2 types of plants that are there. Really what I'd like to do is bring a lot more native plants back into the ecosystem, but really the biggest hurdle is just the fact that, you know, this land is just raw land. There's nothing on it, there's nothing set up, and if I were to try to plant a tree in the meadow, it wouldn't grow because how do I get water to it, you know? I think that's something a lot of people don't consider. They see this big land and they're thinking, oh, she should be growing stuff, but to set up an irrigation system throughout the entire land is a big chore, and that's something we've actually been working on doing on the side for the last couple of years. So it's in the works right now. We're really trying to get an irrigation system set up throughout the whole property so that we can start planting things, start bringing life back, and then we can water it and it can grow. That's something that I'm really excited about, finishing that project. Last year the biggest thing that we did was building the driveway. So that's also another thing you don't really realize. Sometimes you don't have a driveway to get to the property. So that's what my dad was doing last year. So yeah, this next year we're going to be focusing on irrigation and trying to get that set up so that we can start planting and watering things. This morning is honestly so much colder than I expected. I think it's time to go home and make some cookies. Another person asked me, like, how close is the closest town? And basically I live about an hour away from the closest kind of town grocery store type place, but I live in a valley where there's definitely other people living in this valley. There's a lot of farms, there's a lot of pear farms, there's a lot of apple farms. It's an amazing place to grow apples. So I have neighbors and stuff, like I live near other people, but I live about an hour from kind of the closest grocery store town area, I guess.
so kind of you.
Hey Logan, I've got some questions for you.
Some questions? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Somebody wanted me to ask you how mountain life is going.
Oh, it's really good. It's been excellent.
Some people are wondering like what Logan's doing when I'm filming. And the thing is we both have our own kind of like creative things that we do separate from each other, you know?
Yeah.
So like I prefer to film alone, and I'm a pretty independent person.
And I prefer to write music alone a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And produce myself. We like work half the day, and then
Yeah.
we work on other things half the day. So
Yeah.
like we work on
Yeah.
the garden, whatever project, for like
Yeah.
5 hours. and-
Usually me and Logan do chores that are like not interesting, so I don't film them. We're just like doing random things around the farm, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's basically it. I'd say, like, seriously, the most common question I got is what are the name of the cats? This cat's name is White Cat. She's a girl. And this cat's name is Black Cat. And he's a boy. So some people ask me why I decided to start filming. I've always been really inspired by the idea of storytelling, telling a story in a more meaningful way. When I was working in the city, saving up for this house, really my biggest goal and dream was to live a life that was more meaningful. I really had a strong inspiration to become more self-sustainable, to grow my own food, to live in a more rural area where I could have a pretty low cost of living and be able to spend the time doing the things that I'm passionate about, you know? So when I was working and saving up for this house, I thought it would be really interesting to just start documenting the journey of trying to achieve that goal. You know, I see a lot of people online who are showing their life and they've already achieved their goals and they're like living this really idyllic life. In many ways, that's not necessarily relatable because a lot of us would like to live in a different way. We're just kind of stuck in these situations. So yeah, I just was really inspired by the idea of documenting the process of trying to get there. And I'm really nowhere close to where I'd like to be. I think it's gonna be a much longer process, many, many more years of working, but I'm excited. The work is really inspiring to me. Another kind of similar question was, how are you feeling about monetizing your videos and taking sponsorships? If you guys have been watching for a while, you know that I didn't monetize or make any money on YouTube for a very, very long time, up until maybe 4 or 5 months ago. Basically, I was making money by working a different job. I was working in town, and that was basically funding my cost of living. It was really difficult because I was working 3 to 4 days per week, and I only had a couple days to film, edit, and upload a video, and it was becoming really hard to manage. I didn't really know what to do because at the time, I honestly didn't know that you could make money doing YouTube. Then this winter I went on a trip with Hannah, who is another YouTuber. She was able to sustain her life monetizing her videos. I thought, wow, it would be truly amazing to be able to actually have the time to focus on filming and making videos and not have to just constantly be struggling. Honestly, it was the most liberating thing to start making money through YouTube because it allowed me to fully invest my time into filming, and I do feel like I've gotten a lot better because of it. I've been able to focus and learn so much more, and I'm so grateful for Hannah for telling me that this is what I should do. It's been amazing to be able to monetize my videos and have a couple sponsorships here and there. It's just relieved a lot of stress from my life. I'm so grateful for it, honestly. A funny question I got actually quite often is my brother single? If you don't know, my brother's name is Cole. He's been in a couple videos here and there. The answer is yes. He is single. About 1.5 years ago, when I started building this house, he also started building a tiny house at the same time. He didn't have any money saved, so he was just doing it part-time, working and then spending that money on the house. And also he was working in the city, so he was building kind of near the city. About a month ago, he moved the tiny house here, and he's gonna try to finish it in the next couple months and hopefully move out here, which would be really, really cool. How's the drive?
It's terrible. It was the most stressful drive history of driving.
Most stressful day of my life.
Where are you gonna put it, Cole?
We don't know. Maybe either here or maybe up there. Maybe right next to yours.
You'll be neighbors.
Someone asked me, how do you have time to do all your projects and also edit and film for YouTube? Well, the answer is you don't sleep very much. I don't know. You work long hours every day, 10, 12-hour days. Someone asked me, this was cool, how did the outhouse end up working out? Outhouse works great. It's a composting outhouse. So when I go to the bathroom, I put a couple handfuls of sawdust in it, and that helps to compost things, but it also makes it so the outhouse really truly does not smell. Like, you can't smell anything except for like maybe a tree kind of smell. Honestly, would 100% recommend outhouses. Don't use any water. It's just going back into the earth. It's getting composted. It's a really cool system, I think. Oh, somebody asked me for a book recommendation on homesteading and farming. Let me show you my favorite book ever. Actually, my sister bought it, and I took it from her. But this is the book, Back to Basics. It's by, who is it by? I don't even know who it's by, but it's this book, Back to Basics. I have learned so much from this book. Seriously, this book is all you would need. It's a really good, like, starting out book about a lot of basic kind of homesteading concept. It even tells you how to build your own solar panels, which is like honestly the coolest thing ever. Honestly, these days I've spent so much time just cuddling with these little kittens. I really do believe that animals come into our life for a reason. These kittens just followed me home one day from the forest, so it does feel like they entered my life for a reason, I think. Wait, this is so funny. I left and Black is just still sitting there like, hey, where'd you go? It's time for your interview. How are you doing? Honestly, you seem pretty relaxed, I have to say. A lot of people ask me, like, if I plan on staying here at the farm long term and what my goals are for the next couple of years. I have such a passion for storytelling and filmmaking that I'd like to really further my skills in this area. I'd also like to develop my skills in other areas of my life too. I'd like to be a better builder. I'd like to gain more knowledge on organic gardening and gardening in a more sustainable way. So I don't necessarily have any goals of where I want to be. I just know like what I want to be doing. And really I just want to be learning. I'm currently 23 and I feel like I just have so much more life still to live that limiting myself by saying I'm gonna stay here forever seems pretty unrealistic. This is always going to be my home, and I know that for sure because my parents are gonna move here and I definitely want to be around them as I grow old. So I'm honestly not sure what the next couple of years of my life will look like, and I think it's always good to keep your possibilities open to anything, you know? I don't think it's good to limit yourself. Okay, so now it's time to add some oil to these rose hips. And I'm going to let this sit in the sun for a couple weeks so that the oil can soak up all the rose hip vitamins, I guess. And this I'm probably going to use in like a face oil blend. Rose hips are really good for your skin, so. Beautiful. In the afternoons, I like to come down here and munch on these raspberries. So some people were wondering if I could do a little garden tour. So the first thing that I'm really proud of are these carrots. I mean, like, look at the size of this thing. It is so ginormous. Like, these are just amazing. I don't know, I'm really proud of these. Oh, a visitor. Also, I saw this yesterday morning and I was so shocked. Look at this beet. By the way, this is all organically grown, no fertilizers, no chemicals. I just grew all these things in compost. That's it. Okay, so another thing that I grew that's pretty cool is, if I can find it in here. Oh yes, here we go. It's time to harvest the squash. Like, look at this beautiful thing. Okay. I'm gonna use these little greens tonight for dinner. I think I'm going to steam them. So I'm gonna wash them out here first. So I was just in the garden harvesting some things. I got some tomatoes here and herbs and an onion. And I'm gonna mix that all together with some avocado. Stems here have been really bothering me. I think I want to like hang them. A lot of people ask me if I ever get sad or lonely, I guess, and I think that's kind of like an obvious yes. I think everyone goes through periods of being sad. You know, it's interesting because I think we all deal with like internal struggles, and we have this idea that if we were living this specific life, or if we had this thing, you know, those struggles would go away and we would finally be able to be happy. No matter what you get or where you get to in your life, no matter how much you change your external world, you're still the same on the inside. And I think like really only real change happens when you change yourself. Right? Because I just had these ideas of like who I would be when I'm living out in the mountains. And even here, I still deal with a lot of the same things I was dealing with living, you know, in the city and stuff. So I guess the answer is yes, I still deal with sadness. And there's times when I felt really unsure of myself and unsure of what I'm doing in my life. Oh, a friend has come. Come cuddle, baby. I don't really have an answer, to be honest, but all I know is what really heals me is spending time like with no distractions, just sitting, being calm and being present, you know? I think that is the most powerful thing that you can do for your mind. Hi, babe. Oh.